Israel's leader heads for the United States, looking for peace with Syria as Washington plays the honest broker.
This is a huge historic opportunity.
The new century, the year 2000 agenda at the White House, the Capitol, the Supreme Court, on Wall Street. And the hope for an end to all this, the killing fields that span the world and the century just ended.
The 20th century was the worst century mankind has ever lived through.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News, reported by John Siegenthaler.
Good evening, everyone. We begin tonight with the latest possibilities for peace in the Middle East. Israeli and Syrian leaders are heading for the U.S. for what could be groundbreaking peace talks. After more than 50 years of conflict, both sides appear to be ready to deal, but the negotiations are just beginning. NBC's Martin Fletcher reports from Tel Aviv.
Israel's Prime Minister departed with a pledge. He'll make a deal with Syria only if it strengthens Israel's security. I am on a mission for Israel, he said, to bring peace. Ehud Barak's last meeting today was with a pressure group with a strong message. Do not give up the Golan Heights, they said. Do not trust the Syrians.
We should remain on the Golan Heights with the settlements, with the military presence there for always.
Barak told them he had no illusions. Signed agreements would not be enough. He'd insist on defense and economic support from the United States as well. Still, many analysts here warn the Syrian talks are a long shot.
Clearly, we have passed a certain point. There has been progress, but they're not ready. The Syrians are not ready to agree on a border that Israel could possibly accept.
The Syrians want to discuss the border first. Israel says that'll come last. All sides accept that Israel will give up the Golan Heights for peace. The only question about land appears to be, where will the final border run? The part of the plateau occupied by Israel is only 500 square miles. 17,000 Jews live here, and most say they'll fight Barak all the way to keep their homes.
I have a lot to lose.
Dennis Van Meter moved here 16 years ago from California.
My children have even more to lose. Their future is at stake, just like all of Israel's is.
Even if Barak gets a deal, Israel has to approve it first in a referendum. And polls show the country is split down the middle. A peace agreement with Syria would be followed by peace with Lebanon too. Then goes the scenario the rest of the Arab world follows. That's Israel's dream. And Barak says these talks are the way to get there. Martin Fletcher, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
The United States is playing a crucial role in bringing the two sides together, and the stakes could be high for America. NBC's David Bloom reports.
The living and the dead.
Attending church at the National Cathedral, the president tomorrow will preside over the opening day of Israeli-Syrian peace talks at this conference center in picturesque Shepherdstown, West Virginia, 70 miles from Washington. Today, Secretary of State Madeleine Albright calling the talks a huge historic opportunity, nonetheless predicted it will take additional rounds of difficult negotiations before a peace deal is struck.
I am neither optimistic nor pessimistic. I am clearly very much seized with the idea that we're doing something this historic, that the opportunity is there.
As to what a peace deal might cost the United States, the president's national security advisor today refused to dismiss a London newspaper report that the U.S. might be prepared to commit as much as $10 billion to help secure the peace. And while officially no one's talking about American peacekeeping troops, that's a looming possibility.
In the back rooms, everybody's talking about it, and I think it's rather likely that U.S. troops will be called upon to play some role in along the border between Syria and Israel.
Of course, U.S. troops are already in the Sinai, separating Israel and Egypt. Administration officials argue that more U.S. troops and billions of dollars in additional U.S. aid would be a small price to pay for a lasting Syrian-Israeli peace. David Bloom, NBC News, the White House.
Of course, peace in the Middle East is high on President Clinton's agenda. As the president begins his final year in office, NBC's John Palmer takes a look at what else Mr. Clinton hopes to accomplish.
President Clinton spent a lot of time over the holidays working on the State of the Union message he'll deliver to Congress later this month, laying out his final legislative agenda, his last chance to shape his presidential legacy. Aides say Mr. Clinton has planned an aggressive agenda, a mixture of unfinished business and new initiatives.
We'll have some new and I think interesting ideas about how we can move forward on making our educational system the best in the world, on strengthening and modernizing our schools and rebuilding the schools that are crumbling at this point.
On gun control, the Clinton administration is convinced that Congress has badly underestimated the public's appetite for new regulations. Passing a patient's Bill of Rights is also a White House priority. 3 years ago, Mr. Clinton designated nearly 2 million acres of federal land in southern Utah as a national monument. This year, with perhaps an eye on an environmental legacy, Mr. Clinton plans to designate 3 additional large tracts of land in Arizona and California as national monuments. With Republicans controlling Congress, many expect the president to concentrate on foreign policy.
Foreign policy is going to be natural because you can't get that much more. You can't get that much more done domestically, and so that is the one area because you don't have to deal with the Congress and some of the things that you're doing.
The White House has already penciled in another Clinton trip to Northern Ireland as a kind of victory lap for the role the president played in negotiating peace between Catholics and Protestants there. And Mr. Clinton hopes to play a central role this year in diffusing the nuclear standoff between India and Pakistan. The president's biggest hope-for legacy remains achieving a comprehensive Middle East peace settlement, bringing together not only the Israelis and Palestinians, but Syria as well. John Palmer, NBC News at the White House.
When NBC Nightly News continues in a moment, what happens on Wall Street when business reopens tomorrow? And later, an ecological battle in Baja California, nature and business with competing priorities.
Heartburn caused by acid reflux. Some prescription medicines promise you freedom from the pain.
But what kind of freedom is getting locked into taking a pill every day?
Ask your doctor. He may recommend you take Gaviscon whenever you need it. Gaviscon tablets are different. They become smooth and creamy on the way down, forming a soothing protective barrier that helps keep acid down.
Why get locked in to taking a pill every day when Gaviscon gives me relief?
Gaviscon, relief from acid reflux without a prescription.
I should have used Preparation H. Cool it fast with Preparation H Cooling Gel. Cools on contact for fast relief. Preparation H Cooling Gel cools on contact.
If you put something off for an entire year, how would people describe you? Lazy? A procrastinator? How about smart? Introducing Mitsubishi's 000 till 01 event. Buy any Mitsubishi and pay 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments until 2001. Hey, why do today what you can do? Mitsubishi 000 till 01 event ends January 3rd.
So far, so good with the Y2K bug. Tomorrow begins the business week as 90% of the world's computers go back online. Airlines soar to full capacity when business travelers and late holiday stragglers hit the skies. And world markets will be up to speed on the first official business day of the century. But the year 2000 has a tough act to follow after last year's 25% gain on the Dow and the astounding 85% leap in the NASDAQ. CNBC's Alan Chernoff has more.
There is one question on every investor's mind. Can the stock market keep on climbing? Many market veterans are nervous.
We would, I think, universally agree that this cannot go on, that you're in the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning of the momentum game.
5,000 trades at 13, I'll be done. Truth is, the stock market as a whole isn't as high as it appears. In fact, a majority of the Standard & Poor's 500 stocks declined in 1999. The same is true for nearly half of the NASDAQ stocks. A relatively short list of technology and telecommunications companies powered the gains. On the NASDAQ, for example, the 3 biggest stocks, Microsoft, Cisco Systems, and Intel, account for 21% of the composite index. 3 factors are key to determining how stocks ring in this new year. Interest rates. Economists say they're going higher. That's usually bad for stocks. Corporate profits, expected to remain strong, good for stocks. And psychology, as important as ever to the market, and so difficult to predict.
If it does switch to the fear side of the equation, greed and fear, then all of a sudden people will change their psychology very quickly. and that could cause a problem in the market. So it's a dangerous market.
Because market psychology is so fickle, investment advisors recommend diversification. Think of stocks as eggs and basketballs. Eggs are unproven internet high flyers that could splatter if they tumble. Basketballs are companies with consistent earnings growth, likely to bounce back from a fall. Market pros say it's okay to own some eggs, but they recommend buying mainly basketballs. Alan Chernoff for NBC News, New York.
A passing to note this evening. Retired Admiral Elmo Zumwalt died this morning at Duke University Medical Center, where he was being treated for cancer. Zumwalt was the U.S. Navy commander during part of the Vietnam War. He was 79. When NBC Nightly News continues, a battle over nature in Baja California.
Ladies and gentlemen, gather one, gather all. You're going to see something that will truly astonish you. A talking dog. This dog not only speaks right, it's cowboys and cowgirls, come on over. I'm going to show you something truly amazing. This is an alien space egg, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, step right over this way and you will see the world's most amazing computer deal. That's right, it defies belief.
Computer deals that sound too good to be true usually are, unless it's a Gateway PC. For $28 a month, you get a PC with a year of AOL included from a company you can believe in. Call 1-800-GATEWAY.
The other day, I'm driving down Broadway when that pastrami on ride catches up with me. Heartburn, big time. My passenger says, "Here, take a Zantac 75. I say, "What are you, a doctor?" And he says, "Yeah."
The medicine in Zantac 75 is the #1 doctor-prescribed acid reducer. It relieves even your toughest heartburn, controlling acid for up to 12 hours.
A real gentleman, that doctor.
Zantac 75 for tough heartburn. Doctors know.
The GMC Convoy 2000 is here. Trucks with capabilities that will change the way you look at the road. Professional-grade pickups, SUVs, and family vans. Designed better than they need to be. Like the 2000 GMC Sierra Extended Cab with the most powerful standard V8 in its class. Get up to $1,587 average finance savings with 3.9% APR on select 2000 Sierra models. GMC. Do one thing, do it well.
Helping people see is our calling.
It's what drives us all at LensCrafters, the ability we have to give people better vision.
We all feel that way. It's who we really are as people.
When someone comes to LensCrafters, they're asking me to help them see.
The smile that I get when people try on their glasses for the first time, that's what it's all about.
We all have the power to affect a life. It's incredible.
Every hour, every day, we're helping someone see.
Monday on Today, the final Peanut strip. Creator Charles Schulz retires after 50 years and does his farewell interview with us, only on Today.
In focus this evening, the demands of business versus the fears of environmentalists in one of the world's beautiful spots. Here's NBC's Dan Lothia.
The Baja California peninsula of northern Mexico, large lagoons, a pristine sanctuary declared a protected site by the United Nations, wildlife, winter refuge of the gray whale, and now an international battleground between environmentalists and a salt company with expansion plans.
We feel that this particular place in Baja California should be saved for its pristine nature, for what it is, and it does not need to be developed.
Exportadora de Sal, or ESSA, in the town of Guerrero Negro, is a joint venture between Japan's Mitsubishi Corporation and the Mexican government. The world's largest salt evaporation plant, 7 million tons of salt produced each year, washed and shipped mostly to Asia. But ESSA's director says the demand is quickly exceeding supply.
We're talking volume here. There's a limit to every plant.
So 75 miles away, near another lagoon, San Ignacio, the proposed expansion site. This vast site, if developed, would be capable of producing 7 million tons of salt each year. It's what officials behind the plan say is needed in order to meet the increasing international demand for salt. But environmentalists say birds, turtles, whales could be harmed by runoff from the plant and ship traffic.
For Mitsubishi to use its money and its corporate power to keep muscling in and try to do this, we think is simply an environmental abomination.
But is it? There are conflicting expert opinions on what, if any, harm would occur. ESSA says the existing facility hasn't been a disaster, and the new one
I don't foresee any problem with it.
The company has hired independent scientists to do an environmental impact study. Results expected this month. And the project has been modified to decrease noise and potential pollution.
The last thing that we need is building something that is an environmental problem. I mean, we don't benefit by doing something like that.
But environmentalists are skeptical. A 1995 impact study was rejected by the Mexican government. Not enough safety guarantees. Last year, a government audit found 290 violations, including dumping batteries in a lagoon. Officials say the batteries were used as weights on channel markers, a mistake they now admit, which has been corrected. But environmentalists ask, why risk a new site?
Even if the risk is small, it's big enough not to do it.
A battle line drawn in the salt, and a company trying to determine if what it needs will do more harm than good. Dan Lothian, NBC News, Guerrero Negro, Mexico.
When we continue, the year ahead on Capitol Hill.
Ooh, look, Howie, your favorite. Miss, how can this cost more than $1? It's a piece of rope.
You can't get anything for $1 these days.
I get a 20-minute call for only 99 cents.
Have you been standing near the catnip?
Oh, he's talking about 10-10-220. It's only 99 cents for all calls up to 20 minutes and just 7 cents a minute after that.
All day, every day.
That's cheap.
Oh, yeah. And the best part is no monthly fees. No monthly fees.
Good. Those can be very irritating.
Dial 10-10-220.
This is the face of erectile dysfunction. So is this. And this. Fact is, 1 in 3 men have some form of ED, a medical condition also called impotence that affects men of every age, race, and background. What else do all these men have in common? They all faced up to their problem and got help. If you're experiencing ED, there's no need to hide your face. Just talk to your doctor. It's the best way to get educated about ED and how to treat it.
You won't believe your mouth with this antacid.
That's amazing.
Dissolved almost immediately.
Like, it's gone.
Introducing Maalox Quick Dissolve Chewables, a whole new kind of calcium antacid for heartburn.
It dissolves quickly when you put it in your mouth. Very quick.
New Maalox Quick Dissolve Chewables dissolve faster and more completely than Tums.
Didn't have to dig it out of my teeth. No grit.
It's gone.
New Maalox Quick Dissolve Chewable Tablets. Quick dissolve your heartburn away. Quick dissolve. Maalox. From 1 Minute Maalox.
Monday, saving your life. It is the most advanced ER. When seconds count, now get the help you need. A special Lifeline 2000. NBC Nightly News Monday.
Watson's is having a half off after Christmas sale.
Pool tables only $6.99 installed.
Air hockey's only $69.
Bars and bar stools.
2-piece cues, only $9.99. That's Watson's.
Mid-10 Ford is your full-line Ford truck dealer with Rangers, Explorers, Expeditions, and Excursions, and full-size work trucks. Mid-10 Ford is committed to being your truck dealer with parts and service open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. and 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday.
Your work week weather could include some snow. The latest from SkyMax at 10.
2000 will bring Congress a list of priorities, and lawmakers will be facing some battles in the upcoming session. NBC's Joe Johns has a preview.
The challenge for House Speaker Dennis Hastert is monumental. Avoid being labeled as the leader of a do-nothing Congress in an election year, when policy often takes a back seat to politics. Hastert's priorities for House Republicans: final passage of a plan to reform health maintenance organizations, legislation to expand foreign trade, and he wants a tax cut.
Anything going through in a political year such as this could be a problem, but I think those are things that the American people can agree on.
But nothing is certain given the current makeup of the House and the high political stakes. Right now, Republicans hold 222 seats. Democrats hold 212. That means Democrats only need a net gain of just 6 seats in November's election to regain control of the House. Leading the charge, top Democrat Richard Gephardt, who decided against a presidential run to focus on retaking the House.
What I want is a Democratic majority in the Congress so that we can get the issues that we've been talking about here done. That's why I'm in public service, and that's what I want to get done.
Democratic priorities include gun safety legislation, new education initiatives, a new prescription drug program, issues embraced in principle by many Republicans, but the parties often split over the details. Over in the Senate, Republicans have 55 seats and are in firm control. Still, the Democratic leader is trying to keep policy expectations high.
I don't think that election years have to be a legislative no man's land. I think we actually can accomplish something.
Both parties know their legislative agendas could soon be overshadowed by the race for the White House.
The presidential candidates, not congressional leaders, really dictate the themes for the 2000 campaign.
In this political year, many predict the gridlock of 1999 will continue, but they also know the spirit of compromise can suddenly sweep Capitol Hill when members up for re-election are in tight races. Joe Johns, NBC News, the Capitol.
The Supreme Court also has a busy agenda in the months ahead. NBC's Pete Williams has a preview of the court's key cases.
One of the nation's hottest issues, religion at public schools, comes to the Supreme Court with this question. Does it violate the Constitution if schools let students lead prayers at high school football games?
In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
A federal court told a Texas public school district to stop the prayers, a decision supported by groups that monitor the separation of church and state.
Any time that prayers are prayed at an official school event, including a football game, some students are going to feel like second-class citizens on their own football field.
But Texas Governor George Bush is urging the Supreme Court to reverse the ruling. He says students should be free to deliver whatever messages they want in the football stadium, even prayers. From a college campus in Virginia comes a question of federal power over the states. When Christy Broncala of Virginia Tech University reported that 2 football players had violently raped her in her dorm room, school officials at first found against one of the students but then dropped the charges. Outraged, she went to court on her own and sued the athletes, invoking a recently passed federal law, the Violence Against Women Act, that gives victims of sex crimes the right to file lawsuits against their attackers, even if no criminal charges are ever filed. The Supreme Court must decide if lower courts were right when they declared the law unconstitutional. They ruled that Congress improperly stepped on the traditional power of the states to prosecute crimes. But women's groups say the justices should uphold the law, that police often fail to take crimes like rape seriously.
The state justice systems don't treat violence against women in the same way that they treat other similar crimes.
The court will also decide whether grandparents have the right to visit their grandchildren when the parents object, and the fate of one of the nation's best-known police practices, the Miranda warning, advising people arrested of their right to keep quiet to avoid incriminating themselves. The justices must decide whether a defendant's confession can be used in court, even if the police fail to give that familiar warning. Pete Williams, NBC News, Washington.
In Germany today, a colossal pileup on one of that country's high-speed highways. 110 cars crashed in heavy fog after 50 cars collided in one direction and 60 in the other, causing traffic to back up 25 miles in both directions. 2 people were killed. When NBC Nightly News continues, a look back at a century of unprecedented carnage. Can the world change now?
Stand by, I'll be grounding. 31 ready to
Initiating data download.
At Merrill Lynch, we're still bullish.
Analyzing data.
From Wall Street to the world.
No, this isn't a jeans commercial. It's about constipation. You're bloated, not yourself. Your size 10s feel like 2s.
FiberCon has natural fiber action to relieve bloating constipation.
I'm myself again.
FiberCon, be regular, be yourself.
If you put something off for an entire year, how would people describe you? Lazy? A procrastinator? How about smart? Introducing Mitsubishi's 000 till 01 event. Buy any Mitsubishi and pay 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments until 2001. Hey, why do today what you can do? Mitsubishi's 000 till 01 event ends January 3rd.
An all-new Dateline Sunday. The dating game. Sell by, use by, expires on. What do these really mean? How long can you use certain products after their date?
Probably 3 or 4 days.
Maybe 1 year. I should use it before the date.
Think you know? Log on and take our Consumer Alert quiz. An all-new interactive Dateline tonight, 7, 6 Central.
It's like today, only later. Later today, weekdays on NBC.
You've seen Biography. You've gone behind the music. Now get closer on television's best place for real-life stories. Headliners and legends every night on MSNBC.
After a week of celebrations, we close on a somber note, a look back at the 20th century, whose wars killed far more people than all the wars of the previous 19th century. And a hopeful note as well, that during the next 100 years, we can turn away from the habits of the past. Here's NBC's Rick Davis.
A few years after its first short flight in 1903, this fragile invention of the Wright brothers would quickly evolve into one of the great killing machines of the 20th century. The delivery system for mass annihilation in the bloodiest century ever known. In World War I, men became moles in the killing fields of Europe. There were other conflicts within the war years. The Russian Revolution left an open wound through much of the century. The war itself led to 26 million deaths. It was called the War to End All Wars.
Woodrow Wilson came up with that phrase, and he hoped that with American entry into the war and a triumph for the Allies, which did happen, that was going to be it for wars. We were going to put them down forever. Didn't work out that way.
The return to mass murder came when the Japanese invaded Manchuria in 1931. And Hitler began to rebuild a national killing machine in Germany, soon invading his neighbors while most of the world watched.
Both the British and the French, above all, did not want to go to war again and did not think that they could easily stop, that they could be stopped without a war, which he probably could have been.
When the Japanese attacked the American fleet in Pearl Harbor, it truly became a world war, killing 53 million people, 60% of them civilians. And a new term was coined, genocide. The end of that war soon signaled the beginning of another, the Cold War. An ally became an enemy. Stalin erected what was called an Iron Curtain over Eastern Europe. The Cold War often burned hot, first in Korea. 3 million people died in that conflict. Another 2.5 million in Vietnam. Images of death and suffering were seen up close. There were small wars and revolutions in Central America, Africa, the Middle East. The Gulf War displayed massive long-distance killing power. There were reflections of the genocide of the past in Serbian prison camps. And in Rwanda, 800,000 people killed in a brief 3 months. And now in Chechnya, this century begins as the last ended. War again. And again, people fleeing from it. But there are flashes of hope. In Northern Ireland, power sharing after decades of violence. And old enemies in the Middle East traveled to Washington to speak of peace. In each case, the United States played a peacemaker's role.
We're going to be getting better and better, and we're going to bring the rest of the world along with us. And it's a wonderful time to be alive. There's never been anything like it.
Nelson Mandela was a symbol of change in the 20th century, from 27 years in prison to president. As the new century began, he returned to his prison cell to light a candle of hope for the new millennium. Rick Davis, NBC News.
And that is NBC Nightly News for the first Sunday in 2000. Now here's Maria Shriver with a look at what's coming up tonight on Dateline.
Thanks, John. Coming up on Dateline Sunday, are you throwing out food that's still good just because it's past the date on the package? Don't always go by the numbers.
There are generally 3 types of dates. There's a used by date, there is a sell by date, and then there is an expiration date.
Do you know when it's time to toss it? Log on to our website and take our Dateline Interactive Consumer Alert Quiz coming up on Dateline. John?
Thanks, Maria. I'm John Siegenthaler in New York, and for all of us here at NBC News, thanks for watching. I'll see you back here next weekend, if not before.
This is Dateline Sunday, January 2nd, 2000. Tonight, imagine if your life was ruled by